So today's demonstration, I'm going to show you how to thread a needle with two strands of thread, one way and another way, and I will explain why one way is much better than the other way. So I'm going to show you the not so good way first. However, let's just set the foundations here, the parameters, so that we're on an equal footing. You can see I have two needles. They're exactly the same length. They're exactly the same size. And one way you might think is very, very quick and easy is you thread it through the needle off the spool as it comes, and you pull your thread and you hold it together with the thread like this, cut it, knot it. Okay, so now that seemed pretty quick. I have a thread going through here, and I have to admit I did this for many years and always wondered why I had a bit of difficulty. I'll show you the difficulty. All right, now this is the better way, where you pull two strands of thread off the spool, you line them up and snip it. Now just, this is the as it came off the spool, and you thread the needle. It takes a little bit longer because you have to get two threads through there. Okay, now I have two threads, as you can see, and I'm going to knot this one. Okay, so I have two threads now, or two needles threaded. One where I threaded two strands through the needle, and the other one, which is the quick way. All right, now I'm going to show you hand stitching with one and the other. I've already got this fabric prepared on my table. It's anchored so it doesn't move. Put my thimble on and make sure my thread is lined up. This is the one that's looped through. I'm going to start by sewing just a running stitch. Now, a running stitch, you could use this as a temporary or a permanent, but in either case, I'm just going to keep going with this. Okay, so here is my running stitch. Now I'm taking the other thread, which is threaded this way, and I'm going to do the same thing. Same line of stitching, threaded slightly differently. I'm going to follow the same pattern of stitching. Okay, now I don't know if you can see the difference. I'll bring it up closer to the screen. What happens, the difference between the threads, this first one is the one where I looped it through. Do you see how that second thread tends to back up on itself? And the other way, with two separate strands threaded through, is completely smooth. So there's two reasons why this happens. There are two reasons why it knots up on itself. One is that this looped thread through the needle Can you see how it's beginning to twist around itself as we go? Okay, so it's twisting around itself already, and I've knotted the end, so it's looped through all in one. It twists around itself because the twist is working against itself when you pull it through. Even though the direction of the twist remains the same, the finish of the twist is different. And then, if there's any give along the way, there's no escape route for that thread to straighten out. Whereas this one that's threaded through, it also twists up on itself, but it feels very smooth because the twist and the finish are both going in the same direction. And if we knot the end of this and we're sewing, oops, here we go, knot it, and we're sewing and the thread happens to bunch up on itself, there is a way to straighten out the thread where you just pull it along and it has a way out. So that is the reason why you should thread your needle with 2 strands of thread separately rather than one and bringing it back on itself. Just show you that again. You see the difference between one and the other.